These are the best budget mechanical keyboards in every form factor. If at any point during the video you want to check out any of the 5 keyboards, you can click right over here to see all 5 of the keyboards in this video, but let's jump into the 60% one. And that is the Royal Kludge RK61. Coming in at only 50 bucks, you get insane value for your money. Overall build quality is good. It has a plastic shell for the bottom, and it does give you a top metal plate. It is pretty heavy, although it's not the heaviest in the world, but overall good, strong build quality. This is definitely a good keyboard if you do want to mod it, whether you're an experienced modder or a very beginner. Now, RGB is awesome with this keyboard. It is super bright. And when I say super bright, I mean super bright. This is the brightest keyboard on the list, tying with the 65% keyboard. This keyboard would be amazing to put pudding keycaps on. The RGB is vibrant. You got a ton of different modes, static colors, reactive modes, pretty much whatever you want. And all of that can be controlled on the board with the keys without ever downloading a software, which is something that I personally love. Now, as far as switches, you can get this with red, brown, or blue switches. They're about the same as Altemu switches in that same level, which we do expect for 50 bucks. However, the stabilizers are what really shine here. There's no rattle at all, which is very surprising for this low price point. But again, if you did even want to mod your stabilizers, it would be even better. But let's get a sound test of the RK61. And that is how it sounds. Now, you can get this from the factory in either black or white, which is really cool depending on your theme or how you want to mod it with custom keycaps, or if you just want a white or black keyboard. But a huge thing is this is fully hot swappable with 3 and 5 pin switches at 50 bucks. That price point is insane to have a fully hot swappable keyboard. If you want to put any other switches in the future in this board, you can absolutely do it. And for a price of only 50 bucks, you can do that, which is pretty nuts. Now, for connection, this uses a detachable USB-C cable that is over here on the left side. This is great if you want to mod it with a custom quill cable, or if you want to travel with this thing, it just makes it that much easier to do. But moving on to the 65% board, this is the LTC Nimbleback NB681. Coming in at only 53 bucks, this is absolutely the best budget 65% keyboard you can buy. Now, overall build quality is better than the RK61 slightly. This is slightly heavier, it's slightly bigger. The build quality is a little bit less generic with more of these angles and lines. You do also get flip up risers, which is nice. But one really cool thing is you get a removable skirt from the factory. So if you wanted to take this thing off, if you wanted to paint this and then throw it back on the keyboard without ever disassembling it, that is a huge way to change the look of your keyboard. Or if you just like the look of this without the skirt, you can absolutely just do it like that. And this does manage to give you a metal top plate, which is awesome. So overall build quality is very solid. Now, RGB is the same as the RK61. It is really, really good. It is really bright, fantastic for putting keycaps. You have a ton of different static modes. You have a ton of different reactive modes and rainbow modes. Really, whatever you want, you have that with the RGB, and it's super bright. So again, if you like putting keycaps, or if you just like a really bright amount of RGB, this thing is awesome and tied with the RK61. Although I would say this has a little bit more colors than the RK61. The RK61 is super bright and vibrant, but a little bit less colors than this one. So I would say this one wins. It has more of those like orangey hues, and it does it a little bit better than the RK61, but these are very slight differences with the RGB. Now, as far as switches, this comes in either red, brown, or blue switches. Again, these are about the same level as Altemu switches, so nothing amazing, but in red switches or brown switches, they are pretty good from the factory for only 53 bucks. Now, the stabilizers are a pretty similar story to the RK61. They are pretty good with no rattle, although adding some keycaps to it would definitely upgrade that sound. Take a listen. And that is how it sounds. Now, this again can either come in black or white, and it is fully hot swappable with 3 and 5 pin switches, just like the RK61. So you can put any switch you want into this keyboard. And I will say this keyboard is incredibly good to mod. Although it is quite good stock, it is amazing for modding. So if you do want to get into modding, or if you're already into modding, this thing is awesome to do it on. Now, for connection, this uses a USB-C on the right side over here. However, as you can see, this has 2 powered USB type A's right there. So if you want to plug in your phone or a mouse or a headset or whatever, you can literally plug it in to your keyboard and have 2 powered USBs there. That is awesome. And this is absolutely the best 65% budget board you can buy. But moving on to the 75% keyboard, this is the Vissles V84. Coming in at 90 bucks, it may sound like a lot to you, but you get a ton for your money. Now, overall build quality is good. It has a plastic shell for the base. It is definitely heavier than the other two keyboards, and not just because it's a bigger board, but this thing also has a battery inside because it is Bluetooth. Now, this again also has a removable skirt, which you guys know I love because you can change up the way a keyboard looks just by painting it really easily. And obviously, as you can see, this has keycaps that actually look cool. And yes, they're copying Keychron. Do I care? Absolutely not, because I think it looks good. All right, now RGB is not quite as good as the RK61 or the LTC Nimbleback. However, it is still nice and vibrant, and it has a lot of different modes and colors and static colors and really whatever you want. It's just not quite as bright as the RK61 or the NB681 Nimbleback, but it still has all of those modes, reactive and statics and whatever you want. Now, as far as switches, this is where you get definitely a bump up. This comes with either Gateron Reds or Blues. Obviously, I do recommend the Gateron Reds. This is definitely a nicer switch than the other two options. This is a switch where you could literally take it off, lube it up, and it would sound really, really nice. Even with the stock switch, you could definitely make this thing sound like a custom keyboard. Now, the stabilizers aren't terrible, but they could sound better, but I think most of that is due to the keycaps. These are fairly thin keycaps, so if you did swap these out, it would make this thing sound a ton better. But this is how it sounds. Definitely a whole lot better than the Aotemu's, but you are paying a little bit more for that, where the other ones you can get any switch that you want and swap them in. However, this one you can also do the same thing because it is fully hot swappable with 3 and 5 pin switches. But like I said, this thing comes with Gateron Red, so if you want to take these out and lube them, customize your keyboard, and just throw them right back in, that would be enough to make this thing sound and feel really, really good. And again, for only 90 bucks. Now, as far as connection, it has a USB-C over on the right side. This is either for connection or charging because this does have a Bluetooth mode with an on and off switch right there. And this thing lasts a really long time because it has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. So you have quite a lot of battery life with this. But overall, this is absolutely the best budget 75% board you can buy. But moving on to the TKL, this is the Tecware Phantom 87, coming in at only 46 bucks. This is my favorite TKL under $100, and I know that is a big statement, but there is so much value for every dollar. Overall build quality is fantastic and probably the heaviest keyboard on the list. Really top quality metal plate that is very strong and nice and thick. The bottom is then a plastic shell with 3 different cable channels, which is really cool. They also even give you a keycap puller in the base right there. Who else does that? You also get flip up risers, and inside the case, they give you sound dampening foam in the case, and then they give you sound dampening foam between the PCB and the plate. Who does that at this price point? Absolutely crazy good build quality. RGB is really good. It's not quite as good as the RK61 and the NB681. However, it's not far behind. You get a ton of different modes, whether that be static, reactive, all of those. However, in static colors, you get a ton of choices between colors. You actually get 87 different static colors you can choose from. So a ton of different hues and shades of any color, which is awesome. And again, all of that can be controlled on the board without having to download a software. Now, this comes stock with Aotemu blues, reds, or browns. However, the stabilizers are where this thing shines so good. These are absolutely the best stabilizers on the list, which is crazy because this is the cheapest keyboard on the list. Take a listen. Wow, that thing sounds amazing in stock form, and those are Aotemu Reds. However, this is not fully hot swappable with any switch. It is hot swappable with other Aotemu switches. However, a little tip here is you can actually use Akko CS Switches and swap them in here if you do want more of an enthusiast grade switch. And Akko CS Switches will actually fit in this board in Aotemu slots, and I've actually done it before multiple times. So I'll also have those switches right over here if you do want to check those out. Now, this does not use a detachable cable, but it does have this nice braided cable that is high quality, And again, you do get those 3 different cable channels for customization there. But overall, this is absolutely the best budget TKL you can buy at this price point. Absolutely nuts. Let's move on to the full-size option. And that is the Redragon K580 VATA. Coming in at 65 bucks, it is definitely a great value for a full-size keyboard. Now, overall build quality is great. They have a full top metal plate that actually bends down right here, which is very cool. And then the edges are actually a machine exposed metal, which I find really, really cool. The keys are more of a sit on top design, which I really dig for a full-size keyboard. And there's a raised top section here that actually has some multimedia controls and a freaking scroll wheel, which is a huge pro for me because I listen to a ton of music on my PC. Now, RGB is awesome. Obviously, this is not as bright as the RK61 or the NB681. However, it has perky RGB, tons of modes, all that stuff on the top of it. However, it also has left and right RGB strips on this thing, which just make it look amazing. Especially at night when it's on your desk, this thing just glows with the keys and then glows on the sides. That is so cool, and I absolutely love that. Now, this comes with either Aotemu browns or Aotemu blues, and you can actually get optical browns. Sometimes they're in stock. That is absolutely the switch that I would recommend. It is quite nice with a heavy tactile bump. The stabilizers are pretty good, but this would absolutely sound so different with PBT keycaps on it. However, it sounds really good and feels really good stock. Take a listen. Now, this is not fully hot swappable. It is hot swappable with other Aotemus. So again, you can put those Akko CS switches on here if you don't get the optical browns. Now, this doesn't have a detachable cable, but it is nice and rubber coated, and it does have gold plating at the end. But this is absolutely the best budget full-size keyboard. Again, if you want to check out any of the 5 keyboards in this video, click over here and you can see all of the products here and check them out for yourself. But I hope this helped you figure out which keyboard you guys want. And also, I hope I helped you save some money. But this was Consumer Tech Review. If you guys enjoyed this video and it helped you out, help me out and throw a like below. And if you enjoy other videos like this, I do a ton of them, so please consider subscribing below. But this was Consumer Tech Review, and I'll see you guys in the next video.